Good morning. Actually, is this the first video I haven't worn a hat? I think it is. So this is what my hair looks like. Happy New Year. Oh, dude, I feel so much better than I did at 7 a.m. I woke up at 7. I went to bed at 1:30. Watched the fireworks last night, and yeah, I woke up at 7, and I was like, oh my god, I feel like dead. And I usually don't do this, but I was like, why am I getting up right now? I'm just gonna, so I went back to bed for another hour. Anyway, just spent the morning in a coffee shop, and did a little bit of reflecting on 2023, went back through some old photos. Oh, so good, so good. But today, I still wanted to do 3 lessons I learned this week. I feel like we have some interesting things to talk about. So I help myself. First thing is about, oh my god, I'm gonna forget it. One moment, please. Okay, environment, and then the second is about social setting. Something about that. The third is oh my god, I don't want to have to edit this video. Don't make me do it. The third I will remember when it comes. Okay, so first, the first lesson I learned this week is just how important your environment is. It's like literally everything. It's the reason I learned this is because, like, look, the past 2 months has been incredibly good. The best environment that I've ever had, around people that are better than me, pushing me, and in an environment where, like, I am the best version of myself. And when I got to Singapore here, just like the people that I'm around, the hostel is not, none of the hostels are co-working spaces. It's like, just the environment is different, and the fact that I'm traveling and not focused on like working every day, just all of that combined just has created this environment where, like, I can feel the change in willpower and restraint and discipline. I've just been so much more loose. I haven't meditated every day, haven't been reading or exercising or eating healthy. You know, I've just been like eating sugar and desserts and because I'm like, well, you know, I'm here and it's a vacation or whatever. But just the lesson here, just so it's so obvious when you contrast it with the past 2 months, and it's just been this like downward spiral of like, you know, screwing my sleep schedule, not eating healthy, and then not meditating, and then lack of willpower and restraint, and then just like gets worse and worse and worse. So anyway, I leave to Malaysia tomorrow. So the objective is Malaysia is like back focused, but just one of the clearest examples of how your environment influences your mind, willpower, restraint, basically everything. Like, the other thing is, like, I noticed in how I was thinking and talking about this, like, it almost sounds like it's all environment, and, like, you know, I'm giving up control to, like, I don't take any of the blame. And I was like, I feel like I gotta take some of the blame for this, you know, for lack of discipline and restraint. But I guess it's like akin to rowing upstream. Like, your discipline can only get you so far. So anyway, lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is about this social setting. I think it was like this week. How do I set this up? The lesson I learned was that sometimes you just gotta let the social situation play out. Just let it play out and don't do anything. It was Christmas Day in Bali, and I was back at the hostel, and I met this guy, and he was going out. He was like, oh yeah, I think we're gonna do something for Christmas dinner or something. We might get a group together and go out, find a restaurant or something like that. Said that in the morning, and I was like, oh. I told him, you know, oh, if you're doing something for dinner, I'd be interested. And then, like, I didn't see him. I was doing some work, and then it was like 5 p.m. and I messaged him, and I was like, oh, are you still, like, doing something for dinner? And he didn't respond, and like 10 minutes later I saw him, and I asked him, I was like, oh, are you still doing something for dinner? Like, I'd be interested in joining. And he was like, oh, I just made a reservation for 10 people, and I asked the restaurant, like, if we could add 1 or 2 people, and they, like, specifically said no. And, like, it all came down to, like, this one moment. I was like, oh shoot, I don't remember exactly. He was like, oh, but he went from, like, the logical, rational of, like, oh shoot, you know, like, we can't logistically add another person, to he was like, just come anyway, you know. And it was so interesting in that moment, in my brain, I was like, part of me thought, like, I told you earlier I wanted to come, like, why didn't you include me? But I was also like, I should have, you know, I'd take responsibility for not, like, going up to him earlier and making sure I was, like, included in this group. And so part of me was like, you know, I said out loud, I was like, I'd be fine, you know, getting dinner on my own, but, you know, if it's possible, I'd like to join. And there was this friction, this half of my brain was like, you know, it's not going to work out. They already have a reservation for 10. Just, like, find a place on your own. And the other half of me, what I said was, like, I want to join. And, like, you know, maybe I can, you know, just pull up a seat or something. Like, we'll figure it out kind of thing. And so what I said was different from, like, what was the chatter, the noise that was going on in my head. and I felt the temptation to just give up, to just, I think it was the discomfort. I was uncomfortable. Not like causing a ruckus. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. But I ended up just like going through the motions. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna like show up and see what happens. And when we got to the restaurant, like I felt very awkward in that situation. But when we got to the restaurant, we had asked if we could add people, because I think like only 9 showed up at the start, but like 3 people were like on their way or something, and the restaurant had a table cancel, and so they added a table and they could fit, I think it was 11 or something, or 12, and so it ended up working out. But I thought back to that situation of like this conflicting friction of, oh, just give up. Just go find dinner on your own. Like, it's not worth it. And I just didn't act on those thoughts. And by not acting on those thoughts, I ended up just going through the motions, and it ended up working out in my favor. And so I think that the lesson I took away from this was that sometimes I think you just need to let the situation play out. Just like, try to make it work, and don't listen to the noise, the chatter of your mind to give up. Like, let the restaurant tell you that they can't add you, rather than you shoot it down yourself, So that was my second learning. And then I'll be right back. I forget it. Okay, we're back. See, what I need to do is, at the beginning of this video, think of the 3 words for the 3 things. Anyway, the last thing is, the lesson I learned this week is that it doesn't take very long for me, for a break in the routine to feel motivated again for structure and routine. It's been like 6-7 days since I left the hostel in Bali, and yeah, it's been like about 7 days. I'm not wake up in the morning, meditate, walk, meditate, focus work, and it's been, I think, 6 days in Singapore here, and I'm already starting to get the feeling and motivation of like making progress again, working on something, working towards something, and I think it was interesting. I think it was clear. Like, last night was a good example of this. It was 10 p.m. and my plan was to go to the bay, the Singapore Marina Bay, Sands Bay. There was a concert and a fireworks show for New Year's Eve, and I was like, but like, what am I gonna do for 2 or 3 hours there? Why don't I just go at like 11 and get the and they opened at 7 or something, 7 p.m. And so I was like, why don't I just go at 11 and go for the last part of it and the countdown. And I was eating dinner, and I was looking back through my list of tasks that I want to do for this end of the year productivity optimization, kind of technical debt pay down. And I was like starting to feel motivated to do some work. And so it was like 10 p.m., 9:30, and I went back to the hostel and I got my laptop out and I set a timer and worked for an hour. like getting things like it's like unheard of. Like I should be asleep. It was 10 p.m. I worked from 10 to 11, and just like got some stuff done. And so anyway, that was an example of, I think, combined with the fact that I'm death spiraling out of control of my willpower and routine, that I've reached my goal of breaking the routine, and I can officially say I'm ready to work on something again. So anyway, those are my 3 learnings for the week. I have one more day of exploring Singapore, and then a flight tomorrow. I was gonna say, my brain is not functioning at high capacity this morning, but we showed up anyway. Anyway, that's my video. See ya.